So, today I thought I'd talk a little bit more about intrusive thoughts. This little one's Lily. It's Gordon's mum. We touched on intrusive thoughts yesterday, and I spoke about the terrible intrusive thought I get where I believe one of my cats is injured or hurt. Now, intrusive thoughts tend to sort of be called intrusive thoughts because they're not thoughts that we want to actually have. They intrude upon. I suppose it's a little bit like an intruder coming into your property. If it was a friend, that's somebody you would welcome in. If it's not, it's an intruder. So an intrusive thought is intruding into your thought process and spoiling, and it's not a nice place to be. I quite often wonder why I get intrusive thoughts that are unpleasant. What causes them and where do they come from? And I did some research and I found out that on average a human being has between, roughly 6,000 to 12,000 thoughts a day. I don't know who's sitting there counting them, but obviously they've worked this out somehow, probably by attaching things to your head, brain waves and all that stuff. We're all plagued by thoughts all day long. We're continually having thoughts. So let's take, for example, 6,000 thoughts a day. That's 4 every 6 seconds, basically. So they're continually coming in, and in a way, they're possibly governing what we do, and they're there for a good reason. If someone's got OCD, they're more likely to ruminate and keep thinking and overthinking something again and again and again. And the more they try not to do that, the more they do it. So obviously, out of all these thought processes, if it's something you care about, like someone in your family, someone you know, or animal, obviously an animal that you love, if a thought pops out and is negative towards that, that's going to be very intrusive, and you're going to flag it up, and you're going to therefore pay attention to it. You're going to want to know what the meaning for it is, and then you start questioning why you're having that thought, and it becomes quite scary and daunting. As I think a normal person, a neurotypical person, those thoughts come in and out, and they just sort of will more than likely be able to say, well, that's a ridiculous thought. Of course I'm not going to drop a newborn baby on the floor. That's another ridiculous thought. Of course I'm not going to hurt my own cat or dog or do anything cruel to anybody. I don't think all intrusive thoughts are the same for everybody. And the reason I'm saying that is because I think if you care very much for animals, for example, like I do, and then one of my worst thoughts is, what if something was to happen or an animal was to get injured or hurt? That's the thought that keeps going around and round in my head. Now, if somebody was not interested in animals, and let's take it a bit further, let's say someone was cruel to animals, or really couldn't care less about animals, they wouldn't get that intrusive thought come into their head, because that thought would just go around, it wouldn't bother them, like all the other like all the other 6,000 thoughts. They would get bothered by another thought about something that was important to them. It may be about their daughter, for example. That might be an Achilles heel. That might be something, so therefore they might suddenly think, what's happened to my daughter? She's not back on time. And I don't want to get into the macabreness of, cruel people and whatnot and this, that and the other. I'm just trying to understand and to work out and to help understand, to help other people understand that it seems that the thoughts that bother us the most and disturb us the most are the thoughts that are directly not in line with our way of thinking. So if you are a caring person, an uncaring thought is going to bother you. And I think it's starting to understand and to recognise and accept that these thoughts are just thoughts. They're not bad things. In fact, if anything, we could look at them and see them as a positive. So if you're getting an intrusive thought about something and it's upsetting you, and you look at that intrusive thought and say, for example, you're getting an intrusive thought about something happening to someone in your family, and it's upsetting you deeply, and it's giving you anxiety, worry, your OCD, obsessive compulsive is going completely crazy and it's very hard to deal with. And so you take a step back and look at the whole situation. The reason that you're getting that thought isn't because there's one thought that's floating around in the day and it's going to hit you because you're evil and you've summoned up that thought because something's wrong with you. It's actually because there's 6,000 thoughts going around all day long in your head. And the only thoughts that you're going to pick up on are the thoughts that you really feel strongly about and care about. I think we have to become familiar with the thought process and actually learn to live with it and not be scared of it. I think we have to realise that the thought process is something that we're all experiencing, 6,000 thoughts a day. And if you are picking up on a thought and it's intrusive and it's about the safety or well-being of your family, that means that you care about your family. Because if you didn't care about your family, your OCD and your mind wouldn't have flagged that thought up because it wouldn't have mattered to you. So the thoughts that are actually flagged up can be turned on their head and you can see them as, well, at least it shows I love my cat. At least it shows I love my mum, my dad, my family. At least it shows I'm a caring person. Because I'm pretty sure someone who wasn't a caring person, who didn't care about their family, wouldn't have an intrusive thought about their family being hurt or injured or something bad happening to one of their animals. So I think we need to start to try to look at these intrusive thoughts in a positive, and well, no, not in a positive, but in a more positive way. And stop punishing ourselves by thinking that we are evil, bad, there's something wrong with us. There's nothing wrong. Our minds just think a little bit differently to the way that most other people's minds think. And if we're able to see that, we're able to learn and we're able to develop an understanding of that, we may even be able to live more comfortably with that. And yesterday I talked about how I counteract those negative, intrusive thoughts, turn them on their head and push them back out positive. And that psychologically and cognitively over time makes it better. I can guarantee that I don't have intrusive thoughts like I used to. I wish I had learnt how to overcome them a little bit earlier.